We had not read a coming-of-age novel that was queer, that kind of reflected our own upbringing. And she was the one, my girlfriend was the one who was like, you have to turn this into a movie. And it was before I made Appropriate Behavior, and I told the writer I wanted to, and she was like, good luck. She was like, I got a lot of people wanting to make a movie out of this. Good luck with your web series. And then a couple of years passed, and I made Appropriate Behavior. She's lovely. I love the writer. No, the writer's a friend. I don't mean that I know Sasha's face, there's no shade in that. It was a legit, she had a point. Like, that's what I'm trying to put myself down here. I was not in a position to adapt a book. But then, so years went by and I made Appropriate Behavior, and then when it was time to make the second film, I just shared the book with my producer. Just like, you should read this, Summer Reed. And she read it and she instantly said, this is our next project. And she's much smarter than I am. So whatever she says goes. And so she and I co-adapted the script together, and that's how it happened.
Cameron was such an interesting character because she, no matter the adversity that she was, put up against and everything she went through going to the conversion camp and dealing with kind of the onslaught of emotion from being caught with the love of her life, Coley, she kept this positivity through it. And she followed her heart and she followed her best intentions throughout the entire process of the story, and I thought that was important. To kind of show someone who could persevere and against all odds knew herself no matter what. And especially in the therapy scenes that we did together with Jennifer, I think it was just perfectly written from Desi, but it was so special to see a young character like Cameron be able to stand up to someone of authority and be like, I don't think you're right.
I play Lydia, who is a therapist, and she's a woman who believes that she's doing good and that she wants to help people quite desperately. Personally, I think she's extremely misguided, and she's trying to force these young people to be what they're not, and she's rummaging around. She's really unqualified to be rummaging around in their hearts and in their minds and in their sexuality, but she does believe what she's doing is for their own good.
I think when I meet professional people who make films for a living, they literally cannot do anything else. It's a calling and it's a terrible career. You would do something else if you could. The logistics of this lifestyle are the worst. Except for when you're, at a fancy event like Sundance. People treat you really nicely, but your day-to-day life is... Yeah, there are perks like this week, and this week is 1 out of 4 years of my life, which are broke and, sitting in a room taking breaks to masturbate while writing. You don't have to use all of this, but...
You don't have time to do that here.
Well, yeah, here I'm just keep going. Just get it out in the shower. But the thing is that, what's so funny is how powerful film is. It's a superficial industry. It attracts people who can't do anything else, and yet movies touch your life so deeply. Everything I knew about being American or being a girl I knew from movies. My parents are immigrants. We didn't talk about sex. We didn't talk about relationships. I saw it in a film once, And my brother and I grew up, we were latchkey kids who just spent 6 hours a day watching television, constant masturbating. No, I'm joking. I want to fit in masturbation as much as possible in this interview.
You probably could do something else if you stopped masturbating.
I know, I just love it so much. Okay, so we watched television and we learned so much about what it was to be a functioning normal kid. And what I learned was heterosexuality is paramount. A certain kind of beauty is the only thing. I was coded in a way that for my 20s required a lot of deprogramming. And I spent some time in a rehabilitation center for eating disorders because I was so attached to this idea of I can look this one way only. I want to make films that are really honest and true to my life and the world as I see it. And I really loved this story because it fiercely advocated for ugliness and in people and how they don't mean to be ugly. I think Lydia is such an empathetic, understandable character through your eyes, and I wanted to cast you because I look in your eyes and I see such good intentions and so much warmth, and I felt like in the movies I saw growing up there was black or white, you were good or you were bad, and when people I loved did bad things it was very confusing to me. So that's why I wanted to make this film, to show something really ugly with a lot of humanity, and to show that you have to decide for yourself good and bad. That like every day you wake up and you make the decision and you choose, you don't follow a guidebook. And Cameron is someone, especially in Chloe's hands, I think when we wrote her, we thought she was more insecure and more vulnerable, but through Chloe, she had a lot of strength. And in the edit, we were like, she kind of doesn't care about this place. What's the story then? And the story became like, what can they do to get under her skin? And can you watch this girl begin to doubt herself? And then what does she do to get back again? And that journey really works because of the work of the people I'm standing with.